name is Doug Stenton. I'm the Director of Culture and Heritage for the Government of Nunavut. I'm an archaeologist by training and have worked in and lived in Nunavut in a combination of about 28 years now. So I've done archaeological research in many parts of Nunavut over the last 20-some-odd years. Sure. The group that preceded what contemporary Inuit are known to archaeologists as the Thule culture, and the Thule, based on many years of archaeological research, the Thule culture is seen as originating in Alaska, North Alaska area, and for a number of reasons, a number of hypotheses about why the populations began to move eastward into Canada and Greenland around, people will generally say about 1,000 years ago. Some current thinking now is it may have been around 1200 AD when groups initially migrated or moved eastward. They think that, based on the research, the hunting of bowhead whales figured prominently in that move, but it probably wasn't the only reason. There could have been other sorts of population pressures and changes that would encourage, it's human nature after all, to populations around the world have moved into new areas throughout history. So these groups of family-based groups probably moved eastward and over several generations, relatively quickly, we think, but probably over several generations. Came to occupy most of what is now Nunavut and Arctic Canada, and even further south into Labrador, northern Quebec. The Thule were the biological and cultural ancestors of contemporary modern Inuit. We see that in many aspects of material culture and other types of activities. And we can also see in the archaeological remains connections with those early connections with Alaska, from stylistically in designs and engravings on artifacts, that sort of thing.
Organization.
Well, I'm not an expert in the social organization side of things, but if we look at one of the main types of sites that archaeologists investigate in relation to the Thule culture are the winter house sites with the sod and bone and whalebone houses. And these sites number, the number of ruins or features in these sites could be as few as one house remain. There are some sites that have many more, 40, 50, 60 house ruins in a particular location. Now, these locations must have been very good for harvesting all kinds of resources in order to, sustain a population of larger size. We don't think really that most of these large Thule sites with large numbers of houses were necessarily all occupied at the same time. So I've excavated at sites here around Iqaluit over the last 20 years, and some of these sites might have 15, 20 houses in them. But we don't think that there were 20 houses occupied all at the same time. There may have been smaller groups of 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe a few more houses, a group of related families, hunting partners, for example, that would decide to winter together over, for a couple of years or for whatever period they wanted to stay closely associated. In particular, the hunting of the large whales, which was a very prominent aspect of Thule's subsistence and social organization for the early generations, probably, perhaps for a couple of centuries when they first came into the area. You would require more people, well-structured leadership to organize the hunt in order for it to be successful. There would have to be a great deal of collaboration and working together. As you know, you've probably seen a bowhead whale, but they're very impressive creatures, and it requires a great deal of coordination and structure and organization in order to make the hunt successful, in order for the group to survive. we get some sense of activities from excavating the houses as well. We find certain kinds of tools or other things that we can associate with men or women, for example. A common example would be the ulu, a woman's knife. We can identify activity areas within sites and within houses where food preparation may have taken place, and food storage, and where other types of activities like that may have taken place. So we can, it's a very interesting aspect of archaeology, and we can learn a great deal by studying these sites, and also by looking at ethnographies and looking at traditional Inuit, say pre-modern, some of the materials and information collected, in the late 19th century, early 20th century. Fifth Thule, for example, Mathiasson and Birgit Smith and others who recorded a lot of the oral traditions, and there is a continuance from those early days. Many of the traditions or key elements of those traditions or values we think were carried forward certainly into the early part of the 20th century, and now things are quite different in many ways, as you know.